Hi everyone, we're going to be building our teaching toolkit in these lessons. Module 5 is all about building the tools that we have to support our project-based learning approach. And to begin with, we're going to look at generating questions, such a crucial aspect of our work. For each of these, I'm just going to take you through a number of the tools that we have. To give you a brief look, I'm not going to cover everything on the slides that we do have. Remember that you can access all the information in your learning journal. The first tool we're going to be looking at is Googleable, Ungoogleable. We've had a go at exploring this already. That idea of categorizing types of questions is a great little technique that you can do with your students to really encourage their curiosity. And in your learning journal, you have this little strategy section that you can see on the screen here, a set of instructions about how you might use it. And with Googleable, Ungoogleable, we might have a go like gathering questions on post-it notes and sorting them in the room. You could have it on a tabletop or on a board somewhere and start to think about what makes something Googleable or Ungoogleable. Another great framework we often use when we're thinking about questions and building better questions is Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy of thinking has within it a set of language that we can use that references the cognitive difficulty of different tasks and questions, how hard they are to think about. And we often talk about lower order questions and higher order questions. And when we're working with lower order questions, there isn't so much cognitive effort to answer some of those. The higher order questions are things that are much, much more challenging. What we're looking for is a balance between them, but also the opportunity to really explore and challenge our students with higher order questions. You can see on the little graphic here that each of the different sections has some language that you might use to build, and you might use some of these example questions to help you and your students to build better questions as you start to use Bloom's taxonomy as an example framework for the types of questions that you ask. You might be looking at these different categories, and a lot of the how questions are things that, and how might, we've used that question already during the course. Those are the questions that really are challenging and are much deeper, they're much higher order, and they're much more challenging to answer. Being able to develop some of these questions are going to be really useful. Another great technique is the use of the question ladder. And the question ladder is a rubric, if you like, going from simple, and you can see it here, all the way up to complex questions. There's a nice combination between the language that we use. And remember, we were exploring how might questions. That's all the way down here. It's much more complex. When we're saying who or who is, what is, where, when, then we're obviously answering a much simpler question. You'll probably recognize that this is all connected to the Googleable, Ungoogleable. When something's Googleable, it's obviously at that simple question and factual, and that's fine. We need some of those pieces, but we also need to be able to challenge our students and also to develop with our students these deeper, more challenging, complex questions, which can become our lines of inquiry for maybe some whole projects. With this, we've got some great techniques and strategies for generating questions, but also developing better questions with your students.